Now, we are going to continue from where we ended. Obviously, the previous lesson, we looked at life processes. For some of you who have just joined us, this is what we looked at, life processes. Then from there, we had to look at their importances and the different life processes in nature, and they can be summarized in an acronym, which is Mrs. Grain. And I think we're even able to do that puzzle. And then last week, if you still remember, we did something to do with cells. And when we were looking at cells, I had to show you on your body, where are cells located? What about on the plants? Where are the cells located? Do you know that when you're eating a fruit, you're eating its cells? I think I told you that last time. And I was able to explain to you how cells are building blocks of life. And I think I even told you that you can only see cells when you are using a microscope, because they are extremely small. They are so small. So you need microscopes to be able to see those cells. But basically, we study the plant and animal cell in detail, although there are some other types of cells which are specialized to perform particular functions. And when you are looking at the plant and animal cell, for our curriculum, we use prepared slides like this one here. Now, these slides are sold in certain shops. So you can go and you buy them if you have a microscope and you examine them. So last time we were able to understand what animal cell is and the different parts that it has. We also were able to look at the plant cell. Now, this is how you would see plant cells in a microscope. And then you're able to see the different cell organelles. And I think we're able to look at them last time. You can see, I got this prepared slide already. This is how the nucleus would look like. You could see the vacuole, the cytoplasm, and I think I even tried to draw for you how actually a plant cell looks like. Of course, plant cells have a definite shape. They have the outermost cell wall, if you can see it here. In the diagram, this is the outermost cell wall around there. You can see it, outermost cell wall. It also has a cell membrane inside. Also has a cell membrane. It's there, there. And then it has a nucleus. You are supposed to be very, very observant to be able, for example, here the nucleus is very clearly seen here. This is the nucleus. They have normally large spaces in between them, which, for example, you can see here, this is a large space which is called a vacuole. And then cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is normally in between the cell. Okay, let me draw for you. This is the cell membrane. And then in between the cell membrane and the vacuole, this is where you may find the cytoplasm, which we normally draw like as if it's water. And in the cytoplasm, this is where we find different cell organelles, which we looked at. A cell organelle, for example, for some of you have forgotten, a cell organelle is a distinct part of a cell that performs a particular function. And an example could be a mitochondria, like this one, or chloroplasts. Could be chloroplasts, or it could be the nucleus, and so on and so forth. So you're supposed to know all those different parts of a cell. And I think I told you that the cell wall, its function is to provide support to the plant cell. And that is it, the cell wall. It is providing support. And why does it provide support? It is made up of very tough material. That tough material is called cellulose in the cell wall. That's why it is tough. And even if it takes a lot of fluid, it can't burst. It also has what we call a chloroplast. Now, chloroplasts, these are the green organelles. They are green in color, so that they are able to trap sunlight energy for photosynthesis. And I think in primary you studied about photosynthesis. Now, the word photosynthesis, photo means light, synthesis means to make. Now, that means these organelles trap sunlight energy, which they use to make food. And then chloroplasts are green in color and they contain that chlorophyll, which traps sunlight energy that is needed to make food in a plant. And that food can be stored as starch. So that's why in plant cells, you may find there structures called starch granules. They're normally there, so you could label them as starch granules. Starch granules. So and then Shidashan is asking, are we studying about specialized cells? We shall study about specialized cells in the next lesson. And then the vacuole, that huge space which may contain air, food, water, and wastes here. And then, yeah, those are the different parts of the plant cell that we looked at. And we can even compare the plant cell and the animal cell. Looking at the plant cell has a cell wall and a cell membrane, but the animal cell only has a cell membrane. So these could be like differences, if you want to call them differences between the plant and the animal cell. Okay. So looking at this, the nucleus is at the periphery. Periphery means sideways. It's on the side. But then the nucleus in animal cell, it is at the center. And I think we're able to look at that when we were looking at the plant cell, sorry, the animal and plant cell. Also, the plant cell has a chloroplast. They have a chloroplast, the one which is green that traps sunlight energy for photosynthesis. But the animal cell has no chloroplast. So these are major big differences between the plant and animal cell. Also, large central vacuole, but this one has no vacuole. And if they are there, they may be small and scattered. It's usually larger, that is a plant cell, and the animal cell is usually smaller. It doesn't have a regular shape, so it has irregular shape. The plant cell has a regular shape. What do I mean by a regular shape? It will be in form of a rectangle most of the time, but the animal cell can be like this. It could be like this. It doesn't have a particular shape. And then has centriole, has no centriole. That is the plant cell, but the animal cell has centrioles. Now, going back to this plant cell, it has no centrioles, but the animal cell has them. What do I mean by centrioles? Now, centrioles, if I'm drawing this, I'm assuming this is the, I'm assuming that is the animal cell with the nucleus here. I'm assuming this is the nucleus with the genetic material inside. It will have cell organelles called mitochondria here. Those are mitochondria. It will have the cytoplasm. Now, normally, there are some small structures which look like that. They're called centrioles, and these have a purpose of cell division. They enable a cell to undergo cell division. So they have a purpose of promoting or facilitating cell division of the cells in animal cells. Okay, animal cells store food as glycogen, but the plants will store it as starch. Now, if you have one of those who have understood the different parts of a cell, I think we can just do this quiz very, very fast. And here you can raise your hand and give us the answer very fast. This is one. This is 2, 3, and then 4. Yes, Joan Muiza.
Number 1 is D.
Okay, number 1 is D. Which of the following is not a property of animal cell? Yes, that is very correct. Then we can go to number 2. Which of the following is not found in the cytoplasm? Yes, Waswa.
Number 3.
Number 2. We are doing number 2.
Number 2. It is number C. It is number D.
You're saying it is
That
D?
one. Yes.
Okay. Let me see if we can have some other alternative answer. Paul Ryan. Yes, Paul.
I am answering number 2. B.
Okay, thank you very much. It's actually B, which is correct.
B.
Then number 3 says, which of the following is found only in plant cells? Which of the following is found only in plant cells? Yes, Mochivi.
Chloroplast. C.
Okay, thank you very much. Chloroplast is the answer. And then number 4, I will choose Diana. Yes, Diana.
Acts as a powerhouse.
Pardon?
Acts as powerhouse.
Okay, thank you very much, Diana. Yes, it acts as a powerhouse. Why? Because it is the one which provides energy to the cell. Okay. Thank you very much for all your answers. Now we can go to the next thing. So when you are looking at cells, so what we have just understood, they are cells. According to the new curriculum, we are supposed to first understand the cells, then we go to cellular level of organization. Then having looked at the cellular level of organization, that's when we can now go to specialize the cells as someone was suggesting. So before we can look at specialized cells, we shall have first understand the different. Okay, let me first meet these people. Okay, yeah, the some people are trying to make noise. Okay, so now, just like groups of, okay. Let me first mute this one. Okay. Some people are making noise. Okay. So I think we can now continue. Now, groups of cells, or we're going to look at levels of organization. Now, just like people, similar cells in our bodies are organized into different groups to make them work more efficiently. Okay. Someone is saying that I need to increase the volume. Sometimes it's not me who is supposed to increase the volume. Also, you, like Victor and Claire, you can increase the volume on your gadget, whether you're using a phone or laptop. Because my volume is already up. My volume is already up. So you also try to increase it on your gadget. Now, just like people, groups, different groups. Particular function is what we call a tissue. I know most of you have heard of this word tissue before. And where have you heard of this word called tissue? Where have you heard of that word tissue? Let me choose Prudy. Yes, Prudy. Where have you heard that word tissue being used? Just to remind you, when I ask you to unmute, please, you should unmute very fast and answer. When you delay, I will choose another person. Because sometimes we...
The heart.
And people not unmute. Let me choose Cortez. Yes, Cortez. Okay, let me choose another person.
Teacher.
Let me choose another person, Daniela. Yes, Danny.
The arm.
You heard of it in the arm. Okay, thank you. But I don't know which. Danny, can you elaborate more? Daniela, which part of the arm? Okay. Let me choose another person. Okay, let me choose another person. Yes, Joyce.
The biceps and the triceps.
Okay, you've had it in biceps and triceps. And then Alum Martha says that the circulatory system or the skeleton system. Isaiah says the muscles. And then Tessa. Yes, Tessa. Okay. Okay, let me choose another person. Let me choose Chimera. Yes, Chimera.
The skin.
Okay, the word tissue on the skin. Now, from the answers that some of you are giving, by the way, I wanted answers like some of you could have gone and then maybe read somewhere.
Excuse me,
But
teacher.
I want, yes.
The tissue is found in the second layer of the skin.
The second layer of the skin. Okay, thank you, Prodi. But I had wanted you to tell me specifically where you've heard that word tissue being used, apart from just cramming or having read somewhere. For you in nature, in the daily life, have you heard of anyone using that word tissue, and where, apart from what you... So that's what I wanted, whether any one of you has heard anyone using that word somewhere. Yes, Isaiah.
Teacher, I've had it from hospitals.
I've not.
I've had it.
Not got that one. Okay, let me choose Shahiri. Yes, Shahiri.
Yes, teacher, for me, I've ever had it like when we're learning about proteins in P7, and then the teacher said that babies eat like are given proteins in order to build their body tissues.
Oh, thank you very much, Shahiri. Yeah, I think that's a very good one. And then let's end with Mark. Mark and Nevlor. Yes.
A group of cells that Our teacher told us that a group of cells are called tissue.
Okay, thank you very much. I think most of you actually have some idea about these tissues. You have an idea about these tissues. Now let us understand them in detail. Now, when you're having a group of cells performing a particular function, that's what we call a tissue. And I think if I'm not mistaken, there's something which you normally use when you go to the toilet. Some structure which is called toilet paper, and you find that many people call it tissue. Many people call it tissue, that toilet paper. And if I'm to use a synonym of this toilet paper, you find that a toilet paper will have, most of the toilet papers will be having those small kind of dot-like structures. If you have ever looked at them very well, the toilet paper has those small dot-like structures. So you could use those ones. You could use those ones. You could take them to be cells, but because they are many and packed together, and they're performing the same function, which function is to clean. So this is the toilet tissue. Toilet tissue. Now, I've already told that the toilet tissue normally has those small dot-like structures, which I want to call cells. And those cells, they are packed together to perform the same function of cleaning. Now, because when you're having a group of, if I'm assuming if this was a cell, and you're having these groups of cells that are together performing the same function, so that's what we call a tissue. In the case of the toilet paper, the function is to clean. But in our bodies, we could have, for example, the muscle tissue. These ones, for them, they are going to be attached onto the skeleton, and they will coordinate movements of the whole body. And then a group of different tissues, when you're having different tissues grouped together, they form what we call an organ, okay, which performs a particular function. And in this scenario, again, of the toilet paper, now this toilet roll or this tissue, the whole of it, you could call it an organ, because it is made up of groups of tissues. Okay, so that means an organ is going to be a group of different tissues, okay, that perform a particular function. For example, in our bodies, we have a heart, we have lungs, you see, we have a liver. All those are going to be organs. Then when you're having many organs performing or coordinating a certain system, a certain function, so a group of different organs form what we call an organ system to perform a particular function, such as the circulatory system. Now, the circulatory system is simply made up of the heart, which is one organ. It is made up of blood vessels. Blood vessels in Luganda, they're called a misuwa. If you've ever looked at your arm, I'm assuming this is your arm, you find that there are those blood vessels which run. You can actually see them on your hand. Those ones are what I'm calling the blood vessels. And then the different structures within. Then a group of different organ systems put together, they form what we call an organism. For example, you yourself, you are an organism as a human being. I think you can be able to relate right now. And that's why I'm saying that using this scenario, for example, if I can use this rat scenario, rat, a rat is called a mese. So you're having a cell, and if you're having groups of cells that are performing a particular function, that's a tissue. And in this case, the tissue could be wrapping around or forming a whole organ like the stomach of the rat. Now this is an organ. Now when you're having this organ coordinating with other organs like the lung, the liver, the intestines, all that stuff, they're going to form what we call an organ system. And all those ones put together, then you form a full organism. In this case, this organism called a rat. Now I'm seeing some people are having questions. Let me first pick these questions. And in case I can't, I may not be able to choose you, please write your question in the chat box. Yes, Ryan, you have a question? I told you that when I ask you to unmute, you should unmute very fast so that we save some time. Okay, now let me choose Victor and Claire. Yes, Victor and Claire.
What is a tissue?
Yes, Victor, what is your question?
What is a tissue?
Okay, I think that one I have just explained this, whereby when you're looking at groups of cells, because I don't know whether you're able to see what is on my screen. This is a cell, which is one. And look at this.
Yes.
One. When you look at this, there are many cells. These are groups of cells that are performing a particular function. In this case, the particular function could be just to cover as an epithelial layer in the stomach. So a tissue looks at groups of cells that are performing a particular function. And then Kwesiga is asking, teacher, do we have the same cells as a rat's tissue? A rat is an animal. We are also animals. Okay. So the structures which are in the rat cell are the same structures which are in the human cell. For example, a rat cell has a nucleus. Our cells also have a nucleus. A rat cell has cytoplasm. Our cells also have cytoplasm. I think that makes it simple for you, Treasure. Then Singoma is asking examples of tissues in plants. I'll comment about them, don't worry. Let me pick another question. Desire, Kabasinguzi. What is your question, Desire Kabasinguzi? Okay, Desire has failed to unmute. Let me choose Miracle. Yes, Miracle, what's your question?
Yeah, I was asking that if that's the cell that diagram has a cell, so the cell makes up the tissue and the tissue makes up the organ. Is that the wrong way or the right way? I think I'm understanding it the wrong way.
No, you are not actually understanding it the wrong way. If you're having one cell,
yes,
that's just a cell. When there are many in groups and performing a particular function, that's a tissue. But you may find that tissue, it is the one that makes layers of organs to make up an organ. And then when you're having many organs coordinating together, they form a system, what we call an organ system. And all those together, they can be found in an organism.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. So then Isaiah is asking, but why do rats run faster when we have the same cell? That is Isaiah's question. Then Farida Nafka is asking, he's saying that a tissue is a group of cells linked together to perform a particular function. That is what we have already said. Maybe going back to Isaiah's question, but rats But why do rats run faster when we have the same cell? So now, that is a very good question. I don't know who can answer that among the members. Why do you think rats may run faster and yet we have the same cells? Let me choose to hire Edwin. Yes, to hire Edwin.
I'll give him an example. Like if you catch a big stone and you catch a small stone, if you throw them at once, they won't run the same speed. So for us, we are big and rats are small.
Okay. Thank you, Edwin. Is there anyone with a different answer? Let me first see if there's another person with a different answer. Is here Diana? Yes, Diana and Lauren. Lauren? Yes, Lauren?
Yes.
Yes, what do you think about?
Rats are more sensitive in hearing than humans.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to choose then here in the chat box. Mark and Melvin, they're saying that it has different physiology. Then Daniela says that I think a rat runs faster because it is a rodent and humans are primates. Then Kwesiga says that the rat's blood saturation is higher than people's. Those are people's ideas, but we are going to harmonize them. And then Nina, yes, Nina.
Sir, I've just joined. I didn't hear the question.
Okay, thank you for joining. Yes, Waswa.
What was the question?
Okay, let me go to. The question was. Okay, the question was that why do rats run?
Teacher, the rat has a higher speed of running than humans.
Okay, thank you all guys for those contributions. Let me end with Chantal Edith, who says that teacher, a cell forms a tissue and then an organ and then a system, and then is this right? Yes. Yeah, that is what is even this being displayed. Now, let me tell you something. Running faster is relative. For example, do you think a rat can run faster than a cheetah? Or do you think a rat can run faster than a cat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or do you think now, what I want you to look at is, I don't want you to look at in terms of size, that because a rat is bigger, there are some things which are, for example, an elephant is very big. Okay. Or there are some animals which are big, but they can run faster. And there are some animals which are small and they can run. Yeah. By the way, if you were if we are to put a race between you and a rat on straight road, do you think a rat may run faster than you?
No.
You see that? But you have a conception that the rat runs faster because normally you'll be standing in one position and you want to catch it. Remember, for you, be seated, and then it makes a lot of turns, which for you may not be able to make. But if they are to put you straight forward, you may find that you can run faster than a rat. So I don't want you to put it in terms of size, okay? And one thing, I told that these cells have a nucleus. And in the nucleus, that's where you find the genetic material of every cell, of each organism. Now, different organisms have different genetic materials, or what you call DNA. and it is DNA that dictates the features or capabilities or powers that a particular organism must possess. So it's DNA. How is it programmed? Is it programmed to be to move faster? Is it programmed to be slow? For example, a sloth. I don't know how many of you have watched this movie called Zootopia. If you watched a movie called Zootopia, there were those sloths. And I would see that for them, they would even laugh in slow motion. So I think you can be able to see. I don't want you to think in terms of size, but each organism is built differently basing on its DNA that it possesses. Then now Tukuvu says that like which animal which can run faster when it is big. I'll give you an example. A giraffe can run very fast. Giraffes can really do run fast. Even a cheetah is a big animal. It can run, or even a lion. Do you think you can run faster than a lion or a leopard? And you may find when some lions are bigger than you, or actually the most common example could be a giraffe. A giraffe is so big, taller than you, but it can run faster than you. So then Melissa says, "Excuse me, teacher, I have not understood how a rat runs faster than a human." Melissa, now, for example, I've not said that a rat runs faster than a human. I don't want you to take it that way. I've just given you many examples. Then Miracle is asking that how many cells can be in a human body? They are uncountable. There are trillions of cells, depending on the body size of a human. Some people who are so big, tall, and huge, they have more cells than the people who were short and small. They may have few cells. So you can't count them. And what you must know is that every day, some of your cells die. And every day still, your body makes new cells. And most of your body cells have even a lifespan. They can reach a time where they die. Okay. Let me pick a few more questions and then we go to the next slide. Chimera, you have a question?
Is DNA the same as genetics?
Okay, thank you for that question. I'm going to answer that. Let me pick another question. Julia. Yes, Julia. Julia has gone off. Let me choose Desire.
Cells does a human have?
Okay, I've just answered that about the number of cells in a human. Yes, Behangana.
Teacher, I would love to ask, what if I say like rats have different genes while humans have other genes, something like that?
Yeah, of course, it is genes that make us different and have different capacities. That's also fine. And then, Nabatukuvu. Yes, Nabatukuvu.
Yes, good morning. Good afternoon, teacher.
Yes, how are you?
Teacher.
Yes, please go on and ask.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
I wanted to ask, like when you wash your hands, that you are removing some cells.
Okay, I'm also going to answer that. Let me also pick another question from Jenna Zach.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, what's your question?
Question.
Hmm?
It's okay.
What is your question, Jenna? Okay, he has no question. Let me end with Kwesiga. Yes, Kwesiga. Now some of your networks are poor. Let me end with this one. Yes.
Yes. Now, teacher, I would like to ask if rats have vacuoles in their cells.
Okay. I'll answer that. Then someone is calling themselves Edify. What's your question? Yes, Edify, what's your question? Okay, I told you that when you raise your hand and you are chosen, please speak very fast. Now, going back to some of your questions, what you must know is that if you ask me whether a rat cell has a vacuole, now a rat cell is, I told you that a rat is an animal. We are also animals. A cow is an animal. A goat is an animal. A dog is an animal. So when we are learning about the animal cell, we are learning about a dog's cell. We are learning about a human cell. So they have the same basic structure and cell organelles. So when we're looking at the differences, let me first mute some of these people. When we are learning about the differences between the plant and animal cell, about the vacuole, I said that the animal cell has no vacuole. And in case it is there, they are normally small and scattered. And normally they're even temporary. And the plant cell has a large central vacuole. So when we talk of a plant cell, think of any plant, tomato, jackfruit, pineapple, any plant there. When you're talking about the animal cell, think about yourself, humans, dogs, cows, rabbits, snakes. We all have the same cell. Then some people are saying that they cannot hear me, but I think some of you, it is your network. So you have to check your network, and if you can't hear, you must connect with your audio on. That when you can't hear what's going on, it means you didn't enter with the audio on. And then someone is asking that, can you please disable the chat so that we can talk to anyone in this lesson? No, you are here to learn, not to chat with your friends. And then Nabatukuvu says that, is it true that when you wash your hands that you remove some of the cells? It depends. Yeah, there are some cells which could have died and you wash them off along. Then Kwesiga is asking, what is a gene? Now, such questions, for example, when you ask what is a gene, you at this level, you may not want to know specifically what a gene is, because it may confuse you. But we said about what a gene is under genetics. There's a branch of biology whereby we study genetics. clear? I think I'm clear. It is your network. Says if we have this okay, sorry for that network. That was a small network problem. That was a small network problem. Sorry for that. Then let me pick some last questions and then we continue. Priska, yes, Priska.
Excuse me, teacher. I wanted to give an idea about genes.
Now, I didn't want us to go so much into genes because we may go off topic. But okay, you can share your idea.
Okay, genes, me, what I know about genes is that one is born with them.
Okay.
One is born with genes from both the mother's side and the father's side, and they contain cells.
And the genes contain cells? Okay. Thank you for that idea. You people, I didn't want us to discuss what a gene is because it will confuse you. That biology, we are not yet there to understand it. It will just confuse you. Then Prodi is saying that, teacher, can you use the DNA of a hen, for example, a feather, to create chicken meat? Is it true? Now, these questions, most of them are off topic. Then Singoma is saying that, is parenchyma an example of cells? Yes, parenchyma are cells actually, Singoma. They are cells, basic plant cells that fill up spaces within cells. They are called parenchyma cells. I think this is that is part of what we are learning. Then Kwesiga is trying to define what a gene is, but it's not about the definition. You must understand what it is, and I wouldn't want us to go into that. Then Ogola says, can you clone an organism? So all those, some of them, I think that is a little bit on topic. Cloning, that is, making a clone is like you're making a copy. It's a genetic stamp that's making a copy of something. Like scientists even have capacity to make a copy for you. But of course, it's not allowed according to the international laws. Then Rese says, do birds have cells like for people? Yes, birds have cells like we do have cells. Because we are animals, even birds are animals. So a bird's cell will have a nucleus, it will have cytoplasm, it will have mitochondria. So yes. Then Isaac says, which part of both plant and animal cells is for protection? Now, plant cells have cell wall. Animal cells have a cell membrane. Then Jenna says, how long are the intestines of a rat? The intestines of a rat, they are actually very, very long. It depends on how you want to, because do you want to begin from the esophagus up to the anus, or you only want to measure the small intestine, or you only want to measure the large intestine? So it will depend on that. And then Miracle says, does every living organism have cells? Yes, every living organism is made up of cells, whereby some are made up of just one cell, and we call them unicellular organisms, and some are made up of many cells, we call them multicellular organisms. And then Anabatuku says, teacher, another name for mitochondria because it is hard to pronounce. Unfortunately, that is the only name, mitochondria. That's the only name. And then Jenna is asking about intestines. Then let me pick the last question from Priscilla. Yes, Priscilla.
And my question is, why does a rat live longer than a normal human being, yet they have the same tissue?
Come again. Can you repeat?
Why does a rat live longer than a normal human being, yet they have the same tissue?
Are you sure that a rat lives longer than a human being, Priscilla?
Yes.
What is the oldest rat that you know of? How old is it? Priscilla, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, the oldest rat that you have ever known is how old? Is it 200 years? Priscilla. Okay. I don't know whether you guys get your okay. There's let me get a question from Sam. Sam Hillary.
So I want to know the definition of an organism.
Okay, I'll come there. Definition. Now, you people, some of you are used to cramming that will ask you what is an organism. I want you guys to learn how to understand. This new curriculum is about understanding, whereby someone is saying that Australian sheep lived for 350 years. Jenna says that 1 million years. I don't know where you get your info from. Let's continue. Chantal is asking, what is RNA in full? RNA, I don't know why you're asking about RNA, because RNA, we even don't study it in O level, we study it at A level. But in simple terms, RNA simply means ribonucleic acid. Okay. We can go to the next slide, whereby you can see that the levels of organization, they're both in plants and animals. And you can see that we always begin with a cell. A tissue, which are groups of cells, the tissues that they coordinating. For example, leaves is the organs, that's an organ system. And then the whole organism will have all the roots, leaves, stems, and all that stuff. And the same thing in people, in animals, you have a cell, then tissues, then organs, then organ system, for example, this circulatory system, and then the full organism. And according to my watch, we are left with about 3 minutes. Let me first read these chats, and then we end. Then Abdullah says, teacher, I have a question. Then Julia says, since we humans kill them, some says 10 months, what is the importance of a cell vacuole? I think you meant vacuole. I don't know. You could retype and you confirm. Then Edify is asking, which organism has one cell? There are many, like amoeba, paramecium. There are many that have just one cell. Yes, Abdallah, what's your question?
Teacher, my question is, the dogs reproduce 3 or 2 times a year, and the human beings reproduce only 1 time a year. But why is it that the number of human beings in the world is bigger than the one of the dogs?
Okay, thank you very much, Abdallah. Now, I think many people would like to even react on that. One thing for sure, what you must know is that humans have a little bit of a more advanced brain, and they have capacity to improve their well-being and sense of living. The humans have capacity to take care of their young ones very well. And you find that when they actually, even humans used to die so early, long time ago. Like many children would die before they reach the maturity age. But nowadays, because of the improved health systems, humans are unable to survive. And you know that a dog can produce up to 12 puppies, not only 3. It can produce up to 12 puppies, but you may find it's only 2 that have been able to survive. So I will expound more on what makes organisms die early, maybe next time. Because of time, we can end here. Bye-bye and enjoy yourselves.
All right, I'll be there.